Alright, I got my batting and 2 pieces of material, black and a white, and I got my template down here. We are going to try to make one of these again. Now this side right here, I got to fold. I guess it'd work if I had it right. Is 3 inches. So let's get started on it. Let's get out a couple buttons. And, let's see. I like these buttons that are on here. So I kind of want to get the same size of the buttons. And this is going to be black. So I think I'm going to want a whitish button to go on here. That's too big, too big. I think these 2 buttons will work just fine. So now we got our buttons. Alrighty. Get this out of the way. Okay. Now, there's our template. And now we want to cut this down to this size. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it bigger than what I want, because I believe it would probably work better to have a little bit left over on it. So I don't know, I'm going to have to take a look. Alright, here's this. And I want to have to try to get the other piece right even with this piece, because this piece is the same as the template. Alright, let's see what we can do about cutting down black.
Did anything survive? How were there giants after the flood? And I think this gives us a clue why, because there is a family, a lineage that actually comes from a sea beast. And the sea beast, when we talk about the Penda dragons, it's pretty interesting. I'm going to read this too real quick, David. It says, the Sicambrian Franks, from whose female line the Merovingians emerged, were associated with Grecian Arcadia before migrating to Rhineland. As we've seen, they called themselves the New Mage, or the New Covenant, just as the Essenes of Qumran had once been known. This Arcadian legacy was responsible for the mysterious sea beast, the Biste Neptunus, as symbolically defined in the Merovingian ancestry. The relevant sea lord was King Pallas, a god of old Arcadia, whose predecessor was the great Oceanus. In fact, the concept dated back as far as the ancient kings of Mesopotamia, who were said to be born of Tiamat, the great mother of the primordial salt waters. So, David, add something to that, man. I know you got some salt you want to add on there.
Well, from the earliest times, if you look at the serious students of the mysteries like Mr. Garnier and Mr. Hislop, the oldest secret name for God ever known and used in the Babylonian and Sumerian mysteries was Oannes, the beast that come out of the sea. And all of those legends talk about this beast that would come in and teach them their truth and all of this hidden knowledge that he had. And then at night he would slink back into the sea. And when we're talking people that are descended from the sea beast, we're talking about people really descended from the sea beast. And these people were so obsessed with keeping that bloodline pure. You can look at some of the people that are the British royals, you have some really strange looking people, because they would have brothers and sisters marry to keep that bloodline pure. And man, they had some strange looking folks there.
What color do I have on there? I'll make sure I ain't got paint. Alright. See what we can do. I hope this works, because I don't want to cut it no inch off of it. I'm almost tempted to change it, because this right here is not level. Yeah, let's see what we can do about changing it, because I'm not going to like it. I can't get it level, and I want it level. So, the best thing to do, if I'm a squarish corner, which looks like it'd be this side, and see if we're off this much, it's going to make the basket off, and I don't want to do that, so I don't like that, so we're going to fix that.
They really did. And I want to read this from this book. This is another book, and I want to also, I forgot to tell you this, the guy who wrote this book, his name is Lawrence Gardner, and a lot of you are familiar with Lawrence Gardner. He was a 33rd degree Freemason. He was director of antiquities for Scotland, and he was also a genealogist for the royal families and for the dukes and all of these different people. He did their genealogies, and he has the list of genealogies here in this book. And so I want to read from this book. This is the Genesis of the Grail Kings. This other one was the Bloodline of the Holy Grail. This one's the Genesis of the Grail Kings. And I'm going to read from the end of the first page and part of the second page here. So it says, from the very earliest of recorded times, dragons have been featured at the forefront of cultural lore, where they have been portrayed in various conflicted guises. The ancient Greeks beloved the dragons were benevolent creatures with the ability to convey wisdom and secrets of life, while in contrast, the early Hebrews saw dragons as the meddlesome purveyors of sin. And this is interesting, because this gets into the idea of what we were talking about, St. George. So, to the Celtic races of Europe, the dragon was the ultimate symbol of sovereignty, hence the Dark Age Pendragons, the head of dragons, or King of Kings. So, the Pendragons, the Merovingians, were known as the King of Kings, and this is a title that we see in the Bible with another pagan king called Nebuchadnezzar, right? He was called the King of Kings, which is interesting. So, then we get into this. In AD 494, Pope Gelasius I challenged the Celtic Church by canonizing a certain Bishop George of Alexandria, who was said to have slain a dragon. This violent and unpopular Turkish churchman was reputed to have insulted and persecuted dissenters and was eventually killed by a Palestinian mob in AD 361. He emerged, however, as the famous martyr St. George, who surrounded legends that grew even more exaggerated. At the Council of Oxford in 1222, it was proclaimed that St. George's feast day should be April 23rd, and in 14th century he became the Catholic patron saint of England by decree of King Edward III Plantagenet. And so you go on to look at this, the Fisher Kings, and these dragons, as you can see in this book here. Can you see that, David?
Yes, I can.
Can you guys? Hopefully, you guys can see that. Most dragons depicted by these people are wingless dragons, almost always, and they're depicted more as sea creatures, which is really, really interesting. But some of them do have dragons, and this, the interesting thing about this dragon comes up majorly in a major way. Now, there's only been, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, David. You got anything to add before I move on to this?
No, just keep it rolling.
Okay, so this, my friends, is, in my opinion, and I'm just going to say it because I'm not giving a definitive. I'm not saying this is for sure the Antichrist. I'm not saying even that he's a bad man. I do not know the man. I think that by his associations, I can tell that he has his hands in some pretty dark things. But at the same notion, I'm saying that there's a lot of signs that add up to this man right here that I'm getting ready to present to you. And a lot of you have heard it. There's a book called The Antichrist and the Cup of Tea, which I'll be quoting from there. I did read that book. I have gotten probably 100 emails asking me to read the book, asking me if I've read the book. I'm sure you have, David, too. Have you read the book? Have you checked out the show? Look, he's on this show. Check this out. Check this out. And so, you know what? Finally, I did, because with this coronation coming up, it's interesting to look at. It's important to look at, because there's a lot of things that have shown up red flags over the years that have forced us to look at this man. So we're looking at King Charles. Now, King Charles was coronated a couple weeks ago, and he was coronated on 6th day of May 2023. Now, if you look over here at his coronation, they chose all these things really, really importantly, and they hid these symbols in there. If you go to the royal website, it'll tell you more about those symbols. One of the more important symbols that I see here, obviously, is the Rosicrucian symbols here, but you see in the middle the green god. The green god that goes way back in lore. David will probably tell you all about the green god. I know that book, well, you mentioned it in the last show. I cannot remember the name of the book. Golden Bough. The Golden Bough talks a lot about the green god. What can you tell us about the green god, David?
Well, this goes all the way back as far as anything goes back. This nature goddess, this nature mother goddess of nature, and it always manifests itself as this green goddess. In the New Age, there was this fella that the singing group, the Eagles, fell under the influence of this mystic Carlos Castaneda, and they would worship these little green things. They would see that it appear all the time in cornfields. They're nature spirits, they're earth spirits ruled over by the mother goddess, and she is green, by the way. And this ties in prophetically with the pale horse.
Yes.
We've got the Green New Deal, and who would be over the Green New Deal but the Green Mother Goddess? This is the pale horse riding at us, full gallop, coming our way, whether you like it or not.
Exactly, man. And you know, a lot of people would say, there's no way that King Charles, he's not got the popularity. He's not, look at these guys. But literally, there's only, like people like, let's for instance, to say, I've heard people say Gorbachev. I've heard people say it was Netanyahu. I've heard people say it was Obama. I've heard people say all of these different people. But ultimately, none of them had the bloodline to be able to claim to be the Messiah. Not one of them had the bloodline. Prince Charles, King Charles now, is the only person that has ever had the bloodline to really fully become king of Europe in whole, because he holds the ancient and the most powerful, most strong and impeccable bloodline of any of the people. And I've looked this up myself. You can see this. This guy, if you look at his heraldry, which we're going to do a little bit later, you can see in his heraldry the beast of Revelation. As far as I'm concerned, this is a perfect picture representation of the beast of Revelation, the first beast that comes out of the ocean. Now, another thing about, and I'm gonna explain to you this too. Another thing about the British Commonwealth that I think is very important to know is that there are 195 universally recognized countries. Okay, 54 of those countries are under control of the British Commonwealth. That means they own the land, they own the energy in that land, they own everything under that land, they own the airspace in that land, they own that land. That's why you have places like Queensland and all these different places that they own that property. Now, this is nothing compared to what they control. Now, we talked about all of these organizations that are pervasive. We talked about the Freemasons. We talked about the Illuminati. We talked about the Committee of 300. We didn't say the Club of Rome, but the Club of Rome. We talked about all of these groups that are super powerful, control the world, but we really never pinpointed who controls them, right? Well, look no further, folks, because the British Commonwealth, the king now controls all of them, because through the Federal Reserve, through the Illuminati, through the media companies, through Tavistock, through intelligence services, through military services, through the deep state, there is one at the top of that. And even bigger and higher than all of those organizations that we mentioned is the Order of the Garter, which you'll find on his crest or on his heraldry. And so, if that's not interesting enough, now, I explained to you this. These are the organizations that are under his control through the Order of the Garter and through the orders that he's a part of. Also, one thing to note is that he is in charge of the Lodge of Freemasonry, 100%. He is the top Freemason in the world. He gets to elect the Grand Master of the lodges worldwide. And through his association, David, with the Order of the Garter, I found this out because I've always wondered, okay, so there's two there's two factions of Freemasonry. One leads to French Freemasonry, right? The irregular Freemasonry, the one they consider the dark side, I guess you could say. And there's one that represents the English Freemasonry, which is regular Freemasonry. Through the Order of the Garter, he controls both of them, because the members of the Order of the Garter are, in fact, the high orders of the French Freemasonry as well. So not only do they control that, one of the Order of the Garter is a Jesuit, the highest order Jesuit. So you have this Order of the Garter that is the top order that has control over the light and dark. This is like when you see the chessboard, you have the black pieces, the white pieces. And they do this in order so that they can control both sides of the conflict. Because if they can control the controlled opposition, then they control the entire opposition. They control it all. All the money that's collected from both sides is their money. And so they become very pervasive in all this. So we have Illuminati, Tavistock, NATO, European Union, environmental movements, which is something that's very important to all of this. The environmental movements, he went on the WF forum saying that we have to do this right now. He's offered himself up as the Messiah. He wants to be the king of the EU. He has said it, that he wants to do this. He's not taking the back seat like his mother, the queen. His mother completely sat idle for a very long time on purpose. Benign presence, just sat there. She chose not to get involved in politics. She even made it a rule where she's not going to get involved in politics her whole life. But behind the scenes for a long time, and there's been people that have been documenting this, Charles has been running the show since the 60s. He's had UN meetings, had people out on his yacht, been gathering together a group of people through the world that are ready to accept him as who he is. And this is including the Muslims. He has the order, has the blood to be the Muslim Messiah. He is a direct descendant of Muhammad. He has the bloodline to be the Jewish Messiah. He is from the direct bloodline of King David. For more than one or two ways, he comes from King David. He has the bloodline of all of the major kings that have ever existed, including the Mongol empires, including the Chinese empires, including the Indian empires, including all of these. Almost all the presidents, by the way, that we've had in our country that have been elected, almost all of them have linked back to Charles's bloodline as well, which is interesting to note. So there's a very pervasive thing. And now people are like, well, I just don't like the guy. Look, I've been around enough to know this. A guy can go from a zero to a hero in no time, especially if he stops a World War III, stops world hunger, solves the economic crisis, and all of a sudden everybody's living a lot better than they were because all the evil people are scooted off the bucket. And I think he would do that. I think he was the kind of guy that would do that just to prove that he is the Messiah, because all these people are pawns anyway. All of these different organizations are webs, but any of them can be cut off at any point, and he's still got the web going, right?
We have got it done except for putting the buttons on. And I am happy about that. So now we are going to play with the buttons. One goes over here, and it goes right here in the middle, so that which is some way I could put it. Go ahead and put one in there. Oh, I hate putting buttons on anymore because I can't really see it that good to put it on there. I still got part of that video to go, and Rick's got another pair of pajamas he wants me to do, and I also got a not a quilt, but a rug that I want to work on. So, because the rats ate it. So I think I'll do it next and work on it, and then I'll work on his pajamas, because he's been wearing them a lot here lately since his oh, you won't be able to see it anyway. You won't be able to see it. I meant, since his operation, he wants to wear pajamas because they're not laying right on his incision. So I can understand that, because once I had my hysterectomy, I really don't like blue jeans on me because they hurt. Alright. See if I can't button it up. There we go. Now, we have the second one to put on. And we're going to put it in the same spot. And we'll get it done as well. There we go. I hope I can see. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good, that's good, that's good. So now we're going to get this one done. Alright, what are you doing? Don't turn on me. There we go. We're getting it. There we go. I think this right here turned out pretty good. Alright, now we're just going to go get a hold of him and let him know that it's done. I'm not charging him anything for it because I just like making things, and I think it works out really good that oh, I didn't put no handles on it. I gotta put handles on it. Alrighty. So I want handles. Yeah. This one right here has handles. What I do with it right here? This one right here has handles. So we are going to have to put handles on it. I forgot about that. Alright, so let's see if we can open it up. Oh, come on. Open. My fingers don't want to work. Alright, now here I got two, have this much left, and it's going to be the handles. So let's see if we can't cut that down. And now we're going to cut it in half. Alright. Now, I'm going to take the side that doesn't have the seam on it, and I'm going to do this one first. I need them to, there we go. I'd rather do it the right way, hopefully, because it's just not a prototype anymore. It is something. Alright, there we go with that. Alright, now, right here, I'm going to lay it down. Let me see, I think what I'm doing is not going to be right. Alright. Let's do it this way. I think I'll be happier. I don't care how it is. So from this line to this line, we're going to go down a ½ an inch. There's that side and that side. What did I do with mine? There it is. Okay. Oh, come on. No. Ain't working. Put a line across it. Alright, and then on this side, I'm going to want to put what do you call it? An inch. Man, I've got some problems. Alright, and right in here. So there we go with that. Now, I'm going to sew this down this way first on both sides, and then I'm going to flip it up. Alrighty, now that I got it like that, I'm going to take it and turn it up, and I'm going to sew it down again. Alrighty, so I'm going to sew the other handle on like that. Let's see if I can't get it laid down here. Alright, from here to there. Line. Oh, wrong side? No. Oh no, I sewed this one on the wrong side. Oh, it's not going to work. Oh, I guess it's not being able to see. Alright. I gotta fix that. Alright. We put a pin. And I'll sew it offline, and I'm going to sew this other handle offline too. So, anyway. And I got dirt all over it. I wonder why. You think maybe I got to clean out from underneath my sewing machine? Yeah. But oh, I hate it. There it is. Just imagine both handles already on it. So, that worked for me. Alrighty. I hope you enjoyed, even though I still got work to do. We'll get it. Hugs and kisses. Well, I didn't know this. They changed where my PayPal is. So here we go. We want to go right here. Still yet right there. Alright, and then if you look, right here is PayPal. I think it's crazy the way that they did not say, you know, they just do things. But there it is.